pounds of our beloved spaces. I went down to one of our JP5 filter rooms as I opened a very loud armored scuttle and climbed down the ladder. Lo and behold, guess who? Guess who was spread eagle on his back sleeping? Yours truly. Now, sleeping on watch is a serious offense. A captain's mass offense, no less. I only had a split second to react, and I did to Jason what he probably done many times as a chief. I kicked him. He immediately jumped up from his deep slumber saying, I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't sleeping. So I said, yeah, and it doesn't snow in Hawaii either, so like a mustard. But for the record, everyone here that has ever stood that filter room watch knows this to be true. We all have fallen asleep at one point or another. Now, there are several points about the story I would like to make. One, I got my legs in, which was a great stress reliever for me personally. The second point is that nearly 3 decades later, Jason continues to deny he was asleep. Lastly, the most important point I would like to make is that although Jason had a very successful first enlistment, making ABF2, excelling at everything we threw his way, like so many of us, he was adamant about getting out of the Navy after his first tour, saying forget the Navy. Well, actually it was more like FTN, if you know what I mean. But our leadership saw more in him than he saw in himself at the time. He had potential with a capital P. Knowing this, Jason tried to strike a deal as usual. He said, I will realist if I can go recruiting, nothing else. Now you need to understand that E5 being sent to recruiting back in those days was very rare. So luckily for the Navy, and more importantly, personally for Jason, it somehow happened. The magical hand of being in the AB community was at work. So following his semi-sleepy, although successful tour aboard Independence, Jason headed to recruiting duty in the Midwest, where he was supposed to be recruiting young men and women for the Navy. He is, after all, a naturally used car salesman. Instead, he was out playing volleyball in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, getting the ball spiked in his face repeatedly by Diane. He didn't recruit many sailors, but he did convince Diane to marry him. For those of us that know Jason well, we all know that that is the best thing that ever happened to him, and the single most important reason we are honoring him here today. Although we're doing a lot of talking about Jason today, everyone here understands and recognizes that none of it could have been possible without you being by his side throughout his entire career. Give him the strength to head out to sea time and time again, raising your family, including Jason, oftentimes